Welcome to this month's Ask Susan question and follow-up video. I was recently asked, Dear Susan, what's the biggest mistake men make and how can they fix it? The reality is, a lot of men make decent money and can still end up financially stressed. Not because they're lazy, not because they're unintelligent, but because they fall into a few financial traps that can quietly erode the ability to build wealth over time. And before we start, women can absolutely make similar mistakes, but there are certain patterns that I have observed over the years some men tend to fall into more often because of things like status, pressure, ego, competition, risk-taking, and the expectation to provide for others. And if you don't recognize and learn to manage these patterns early, it can be costly to you. Let's start with the pressure to provide. One thing people don't talk about enough is the psychological pressure many men feel around money. A lot of men grow up believing your value is tied to what you provide, you're supposed to handle problems alone, people depend on you financially, and failure is not an option. Sometimes that pressure is self-imposed, sometimes it comes from relationships, family, or society. And that pressure can push people into bad decisions like overspending, overworking, hiding debt, taking reckless investment risks, or pretending everything is okay financially when it really isn't. Another trap I've observed with younger men is trying to buy a lifestyle too early. Upgrading your lifestyle too fast can actually backfire and leave you behind where you may never be able to catch up. Some of these traps can include a new truck or car, a luxury apartment, expensive watches, designer clothes, high-end electronics. And suddenly, every paycheck is already spent before it arrives. A lot of people confuse income with wealth, but those are not the same thing. You can make six figures and still be financially trapped if all your money goes toward payments. Meanwhile, the people quietly building wealth are usually investing consistently instead of spending it on stuff. Shift your spending away from buying symbols of wealth instead of building actual wealth by investing in savings. Vehicles deserve their own category because this one destroys so many budgets. A $900 auto payment with high interest rates, then you've got your auto insurance, gas, maintenance, tires. Now you're spending over $1,000 a month just to drive, and people justify it emotionally. I deserve it, I work hard, it motivates me, I spend a lot of time in my car. But financially, that money could have been building long-term wealth instead of rapidly depreciating. A vehicle should support your life, not dominate your finances. Another observation that I have made is confusing investing with gambling. A lot of people do this, but men can tend to be a little overconfident and overestimate their investing abilities, and then they take unnecessary risks and thinking that they're investing. For example, meme stocks, options trading, crypto hike, day trading, sports betting, putting a majority of their money in one stock and convince themselves they're investing. Being disciplined to invest regularly in a diversified manner over time is what builds wealth for most people. But most people chasing fast money are probably really chasing dopamine, and eventually the market humbles them. Another issue is pride. A lot of men would rather pretend they understand money than admit maybe they don't. So they never learn about good investing habits and taxes and insurance and debt management, retirement planning, or how compound interest actually works. And unfortunately, financial ignorance becomes expensive. Meanwhile, the financially successful people usually ask questions constantly. They learn, they adapt, they seek advice, and recognize that sometimes engaging a professional is one of the smartest decisions you can make. Because confidence and competence are not the same thing. Another problem is putting off starting a savings plan. A lot of men assume they'll start investing seriously later, and time matters more than most people realize. Compound interest rewards consistency and time. The earlier you start, the less money you actually need to contribute over your lifetime. Waiting 10 or 15 years can cost hundreds of thousands of dollars later. And unfortunately, many people don't realize this until they're already behind. Having an emergency fund is also critical to building wealth over time. A surprising number of people have almost no emergency savings. It only takes one job loss, one medical issue, one major repair, and suddenly you're drowning in debt. Cash reserves buy you something incredibly valuable. It buys you time. Time to think clearly, time to recover, time to avoid panic decisions. The last topic I want to address is tying self-worth to income. This might be the most important point in the entire video. A lot of men tie their identity directly to their financial success. So when money goes badly, it doesn't just feel like I'm struggling financially, it feels like I failed. And that mindset can become dangerous because then people hide stress, isolate themselves, overwork, burn out, take reckless risks, or refuse to ask for help. Being financially responsible is admirable, but tying your entire self-worth to money is incredibly unhealthy. Real financial strength is discipline, emotional control, planning, communication, patience, and sustainability, not silent suffering. True success can be measured in many ways beyond money. At the end of the day, most financial problems are not caused by lack of intelligence. They're caused by your ego, trying to compare with others, being impatient, emotional spending, and short-term thinking. These patterns affect both men and women, but men are raised to believe they must always appear strong, successful, and financially in control, even when they're struggling, and that pressure alone can create terrible financial decisions. The people who build real wealth usually aren't the loudest people in the room. They're the most disciplined. They think long-term, they live below their means, they invest consistently, and they understand that financial success is a marathon, not a performance. Because real wealth isn't about looking rich, it's actually about freedom. So thank you for joining me in this month's Ask Susan question. Tune in to us in July when we will be exploring another captive question. Thank you for watching. Ask Susan is an educational column created by Styles Financial Services. SFSI is an SEC, fee-only RIA in Minnesota. Information presented is to be used for conversational purposes only, with the intent to spark a dialogue between you and your financial professional to see if it pertains to your own unique circumstances. This is not the receipt of or a substitute for personalized advice from Styles Financial or any other investment professional, and is not intended as an offer of solicitation for the sale or purchase of any specific securities, investments, or investment strategies. Styles Financial Services is not a law firm or accounting firm, and no portion of this program should be interpreted as legal, accounting, or tax advice. Viewers are encouraged to seek advice from a qualified tax, legal, or investment advisor to determine whether any information presented may be suitable for their specific situation.